All right, let's talk about progesterone support. So balancing progesterone levels can be supported with food and supplements. If the other areas are also being supported, then food is going to be very helpful. Much of what balances estrogen helps to balance progesterone, which makes it a little easier. Be aware that adrenal adaptogens are going to be needed, especially with progesterone, because we know progesterone can be converted to cortisol. These adaptogens can be food, and of course, gut work is essential. So, progesterone balancing involves liver work, adrenal work, gut work, and possibly blood sugar work, especially if PCOS is present. But as I've mentioned, most of the women that I've worked with had dysglycemia anyway, whether they had PCOS or not, and therefore some blood sugar work to try to stabilize that blood sugar through the day was needed. For some women, there's going to be thyroid functions that should be looked at and seeing where they are with that, even if they're not diagnosed with hypothyroidism. In terms of supplements, again, Vitex is suitable for balancing estrogen and progesterone. Estrosense, because of its liver support and the fact that it includes milk thistle, I find it a really good product for many women, who, especially when they're younger and they have menstrual issues. Red clover is a great phytoestrogen support. Remember, phytoestrogens are going to help detox out excess estradiol and estrone by locking onto the receptors, and therefore may help with the balance of estrogen and progesterone ratio. Maca, it's a good adrenal support, may help with fertility, both male and female, and of course menopausal symptoms. Probiotics are very good for helping with different hormone relationships. Rosemary is very good for, it's a good anti-inflammatory, and it has a beneficial properties that can be helpful for any conditions that arise from, especially fibroids that arise from a poor estrogen-progesterone ratio. Adrenal adaptogens, if stress is a factor, if they have low progesterone and their cortisol is being converted, their progesterone is being converted to cortisol, stress is a factor. Licorice root is probably number one to help keep progesterone as progesterone, but remember it's contraindicated with high blood pressure medications. Liver repair, you want your milk thistle or your reishi or your black cumin seed, and also known as black seed, or alpha lipoic acid to help that liver repair so the liver can do a better job at getting the estrogen out, which will help the ratio of estrogen to progesterone. Schizandra, again, it's across the board, ticks off many boxes. It's good for the gut, liver, adrenal, and blood sugar, and you want whole Schizandra berries because this is the only way you're going to get the total benefit of what a Schizandra berry can do. So that could be a dried berry ground up into a capsule. It could be a tincture made from the whole berry, or it could be whole berries or whole berry powders that you grind that are ground up already for you, and you just toss them into things. It's very important that you don't buy a standardized extract. So a standardized extract is what they do. They take a chemical out of the food or the herb, put it in a capsule, because they often study it like that single chemical. That is not going to give us the whole benefit of the Schizandra berry. It's only going to give us the benefit of whatever that chemical does. And there will be other chemicals that support the other areas we're trying to balance. So we want the whole Schizandra berry. EFAs to lower inflammation, and aromatase inhibiting supplements, especially if they have higher estradiol levels. If they don't, then this is probably not necessary, and probably their imbalance is more due to low progesterone than it is to high estrogen. Foods, oily fish such as herring and anchovies. Those are really high sources of EFAs, or omega-3 anyway. Chicken and turkey, sweet potatoes, seeds like flax, chia, hemp, sunflower, and pumpkin. Leafy greens such as spinach and Swiss chard. Cruciferous vegetables, apples and pears. Grass-fed beef. That's a whole interesting topic on its own. But grass-fed beef, especially if it's not like grass, it's wild grasses and there's more than one type of plant on where the cows range. They contain a lot of phytonutrients as a result of the cow eating the grass. Really interesting information about that coming out. You're wanting to look for beef that is raised by a regenerative farmer, because these are the ones who try to balance the ecosystem of the land with the cows. It's quite an interesting topic. Quinoa, oysters, eat your sweet potatoes. Apparently they're very good. It's on here twice. Guava, bell peppers, bananas, and kiwi. Also avocado, almonds and other nuts, salmon and cold water fish, dark chocolate, citrus fruits, chaseberry tea. So you can, if they aren't going to take the supplement, maybe they'll take the tea. Whole grains, legumes, grapes, red wine, alfalfa, clover tea. So that would be red clover tea. Berries, pomegranate, licorice root or licorice root tea. So again, licorice root, it comes in a capsule, but it also comes as the root that you could use and add to foods. You'd have to rehydrate them. They're usually dried. And licorice root tea is quite easy to find. And many of these foods have phytoestrogens and or contain aromatase inhibitors, all of which could help balance the estrogen-progesterone ratio. So if you work on the areas of imbalance that we've been talking about, progesterone can be balanced whether it's high or low. Must consider what they've been exposed to. Remember, EDCs can affect the estrogen and progesterone ratio. As I've said, I don't think they're the biggest player, but if I was dealing with a woman who had estrogen-progesterone ratio issues or estrogen dominant conditions, I would consider trying to have her be in the cleanest environment she can, both what she's putting on her skin, what's on her foods, and of course the chemicals that come into the home. Sleep and exercise, especially if the exercise is not too excessive, can make a big difference, and always look to do stress management. Think of progesterone issues as being the result of other players causing the imbalance. And by other players, I also mean the endocrine disrupting chemicals if they are a factor. And the good news is that this can be worked on and women can see a difference.